Gonna get
grounded enough to always see reality.
Your continued luck is no match for my control over the Power Stone. Let's end our battle as it began.
Try me, Thanos! You can't destroy what you can't hit.
Can't fly forever, wretched human.
Are you even trying? Can't you impress us just once? Now!
I tire of your feeble tactics, Avengers. You failed! Thanos is done playing your game!
Iron Man!
You failed your team and your planet, Stark! Huh?
Avengers, my visuals are down, but I think he's onto us.
I got readings from all 5 stones, but I need a few more seconds before I can get Operation Arsenal back online.
This whole time, nothing but an empty armor shell. Of course Stark is too cowardly to face me himself.
Okay, he's definitely onto us.
create a perimeter.
You'll have a perfect view when I finally wipe your leader from the universe. What sort of madness drives an Earthling to insult Thanos with such trickery?
I had to reboot.
Project Arsenal back online. Hello, Tony. May I be of assistance?
Yes. Remember this guy?
Rebay.
Your
Man for
foolish
Ozzy.
machine tried to defeat me before.
Gauntlet power contained.
Kansas.
Well, before Arsenal could only absorb 1 stone. I've just upgraded him to
Abominor.
contain all the Infinity Stones. Too bad I couldn't program him to contain your ego.
Impossible!
Impossible is what Starks do best. My dad built Arsenal as my birthday present, and I just modified him to save the world. You might have seen it coming if you weren't so busy building statues of yourself.
No mere robot can withstand my power!
Arsenal's no mere robot. He's my father's greatest invention.
Should I obtain the gauntlet, Tony?
I'm thinking that's a good idea.
Quavenhina?
Well, that certainly brought you down to earth, Thanos.
Gucci!
No one challenges Thanos!
We do. When Avengers stand, tyrants fall. I thought you said Titans were smart enough to know when they've lost.
I don't need infinite power for gnats like you! Can I not do this?
Well, at least that was easy. We couldn't have cut that one any closer.
I knew I could pull it off.
I thought Thanos was the one with the ego.
Arsenal, let's wrap this up. Time to put this gauntlet into safekeeping.
Yabasane?
I am sorry, Tony.
Agova.
New contingency software indicates a different course of action.
You are the contingency plan, Arsenal.
Yes, but your system code left an opening for Ultron.
Smindayaba. Wadida, huh? Deroy. They took everything from me. Snowball!
I
do not fear, witch, for you are with me.
Rumple no baby. Minrab?
Those who
Huh?
defy
Call him Minrab?
me shall be ashamed and disgraced. Those who wage war against me
Robe Lean? She?
shall perish.
Sansei Tib Tib. Galen? Awesome.
I will find strength, find guidance, and I will triumph.
Alice. Eva.
Marvel's Avengers: Infinity War is scheduled for May 2018. It seems like it'll be a massive, epic, worthy finale for the Marvel Cinematic Universe's first decade, as all the Marvel superheroes face off against the menace of Thanos. And make no mistake, just like in the comic books Infinity War is based on, plenty of characters are likely to die in the galactic fight. So who will be sent into the great beyond? Here are some Marvel superheroes that won't survive Avengers: Infinity War. Iron Man. Ever since he went through that portal in Avengers, Tony Stark has been plagued with visions of an alien invasion, courtesy of Thanos. Everything he's done since has been in response to this threat, so it would only be fitting for Iron Man to meet his end stopping Thanos. There are solid story reasons for killing him off, but there are some real-world reasons too. Robert Downey Jr. may be the cornerstone of the MCU, but he's also costing Marvel a mint. $40 million for Captain America: Civil War, $50 million for the Avengers, and a whopping $75 million for Iron Man 3. He's also in his 50s, making him a bit old for the superhero scene. And with at least 9 Marvel movies in 10 years under his belt, he may finally want to move on to something else. Don't worry though, even if Tony Stark dies, the armor can be filled by someone else, allowing Marvel to have their cake and eat it too. Captain America. Everyone expected Captain America to die in Civil War, so Chris Evans is pretty much playing with house money at this point. But Marvel may have just delayed the inevitable by allowing him to appear in Infinity War, where Cap is likely to have a very final one-on-one showdown with Thanos, just like he did in the comics. Like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans has hinted that he'd like to do something else. And like Iron Man, there are plenty of other characters who could wear the Captain America costume if Steve Rogers dies, such as the Falcon, who already took over as Cap in the comics. Put it all together, and it may finally be lights out for the Star-Spangled Avenger. Vision. Vision was apparently brought to life by one of the Infinity Stones. It now rests on his forehead, powering him. In order for Thanos to complete his Infinity Gauntlet, he needs that stone. It doesn't take a math genius to figure out that probably means the end of everyone's favorite artificial Avenger. The good news? As a synthetic life form, it's possible Tony Stark could figure out how to rebuild him later.
If you douse me again and I'm not on fire, I'm donating you to City College.
Well, maybe not. Hawkeye. Even though Joss Whedon is no longer in charge of the Avengers, murdering Hawkeye would be perfectly in keeping with Whedon's penchant for killing off the beloved everyman character in order to jerk around audience emotions. It worked to great effect with Agent Coulson's death in Avengers, and now that Hawkeye has been given a sympathetic and meaty role as family man and heart of the team in Avengers: Age of Ultron, it makes him the perfect candidate to get killed, for real this time.
Didn't see that coming.
Peter Quill, Star-Lord. As the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, it's pretty much a guarantee that Peter Quill is going to face off against Thanos. And like most heroes who have faced Thanos in the comics, their previous encounters did not go all that well for Star-Lord. In fact, in one story, he deliberately sacrificed himself in order to stop Thanos. So don't be surprised if you see that play out on the big screen as well. Especially since Chris Pratt has become such a massive movie star that Marvel may not want to pay his inflated rate once his contract is up at the end of Avengers 4. Thor. As the most informed member of the Avengers when it comes to intergalactic matters, Thor is aware of the Infinity Stones, so he'll probably be a key player in Infinity War, and as one of the strongest heroes on the roster, you'd have to think he'll get a chance to go toe-to-toe with Thanos. Thing is, as we've seen from the comics, that typically doesn't end well. Plus, Chris Hemsworth has already revealed that the fourth Avengers film is the final movie in his contract with Marvel.
I'm 3 films away from that happening. I've got Avengers 3 and 4, and I've got Thor 3.
It would make sense to kill Thor off and make room for the next phase of Marvel heroes. He's not really contributing much anyhow.
I'm not up to much at the moment. What are you doing later?
Drax the Destroyer. Anyone who's seen Guardians of the Galaxy can tell you Drax has some serious bloodlust for Thanos.
Your wife and child shall rest well, knowing that you have avenged them.
Yes. Of course, Ronan was only a puppet. It's really Thanos I need to kill.
In the comics, killing Thanos is Drax's entire purpose, and he's actually had some success. But it's usually fleeting, and since Drax seems to be first in line for a throwdown with Thanos, that eagerness could very well cost him his life in Infinity War. Scarlet Witch. After introducing Scarlet Witch in Age of Ultron, they haven't done a whole lot with her. Yeah, she helped kick off events in Civil War by accidentally blowing up that building, but the rest of the time she just moped around knitting sweaters for Vision. Marvel might decide to keep her around because her reality-altering powers give them a get-out-of-jail-free card whenever they want to do something goofy. But if they wanted to kill off a card-carrying member of the Avengers with minimal long-term consequence, she presents a pretty obvious choice. Nick Fury. It's tough to admit, but the MCU has pretty much outgrown the guy who put it together. Nick Fury was the architect of the Avengers over Phase 1. But after the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Winter Soldier, it became a lot harder to keep him relevant, and he didn't even appear in Civil War. If they do opt to kill off Fury, they could give him an awesome send-off, one totally fitting for Samuel L. Jackson. Having him battle one of the biggest threats in the universe, and then ultimately falling to him. Hey, there are worse ways for a superhero to go.
April 23rd, 57, Cape Cod in a jet turbine.
Everyone. Yes, we're serious. In the comics, Thanos killed just about every Marvel superhero. So if Marvel really wants to go big, they could translate that to the big screen. Of course, they all came back to life in the comics, which would be easy enough to do in the movies as well, given the Infinity Stones control reality itself.
You could have saved us.
Still, even if it were temporary, the deaths of literally everyone would make for an amazing cliffhanger. Thanks for watching. Click the grunge icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch more videos like the one you just saw. And don't forget to check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.
They can do that? Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 stupidly overpowered supervillains.
But I'm going to make you pay!
Unlikely.
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're looking at the comic book bad guys who got more than their fair share of superpowers, ranking them on their list of abilities and their records in battle. If you like this list, be sure to check out our separate list of the top 10 overpowered superheroes.
All is revealed.
Number 10, Black Adam. The arch-nemesis of DC's ironically named Captain Marvel, Teth Adam harnesses the ancient Egyptian powers of Shazam. Banished to a distant star, he spent 5,000 years flying back to Earth, and eventually reappears as Black Adam. Adam has fought just about everyone in the Justice League, proving more than a match for Superman thanks to his magical abilities. It also doesn't hurt that he's immortal in his Black Adam form. If he has any weaknesses, it's his own ego. But as supervillain weaknesses go, it's not a bad one to have. Number 9, Solomon Grundy. He may not be the most physically powerful DC supervillain, but Solomon Grundy makes this list purely for his ability to take a beating. But I guess zombies wouldn't be zombies if they were easy to kill. Grundy's body deflects bullets, absorbs energy, and doesn't need oxygen. And on the rare occasions he is destroyed, it just comes right on back.
Got him, sir. I've heard it before. Search the rubble. Show me a body.
The only catch is that he often returns with varying levels of strength and intelligence. But this unpredictability has worked in his favor, and he's used it effectively against Superman, Green Lantern, and sometimes the entire Justice League. Number 8, Thanos.
I shall honor our agreement, Kree, if you bring me the order.
You might know him as the purple guy in the really big chair doing a whole lot of nothing, but comic book fans recognize Thanos as the Mad Titan. Obsessed with death from an early age, who killed millions of his own race to impress its physical embodiment, Mistress Death. This is even before he obtains the Infinity Gauntlet, which grants its bearer complete control over all aspects of the universe. As a gift of love to death, Thanos wipes out half of life in the universe with a literal snap of his fingers, imprisons many of its greatest heroes, and makes quick work of the Avengers before he is finally defeated.
Continued luck is no match for my control over the Power Stone. Let's end our battle as it began.
Number 7, Doomsday. Doomsday is living proof that you don't need brains to get what you want. In fact, Doomsday doesn't have a brain at all. Created by an alien scientist, Doomsday is a beast of raw power fueled only by hatred. His anger sends waves through the universe, and he eventually catches Superman's attention, which, spoiler alert, does not end well for the Man of Steel. What's worse, when you actually do kill him, he comes back to life, immune to dying in that specific way ever again. Number 6, Dark Phoenix.
We must destroy that creature before it feeds again.
A member of the original X-Men team, Jean Grey becomes one with the mystical Phoenix Force, which grants her a host of other powers to go along with her telekinesis and telepathy. But you know what they say about too much of a good thing. The limitless power ultimately corrupts Jean, and she emerges as the Dark Phoenix. Although Jean fights to regain control, the power of the Phoenix overwhelms her, and she must sacrifice herself to prevent the destruction of the universe. Even when the Phoenix Force returns to Earth, the combined efforts of Earth's mightiest heroes aren't enough to stop its destructive rampage.
Do you really think your puny mind is a match for mine?
Number 5, Apocalypse.
Inez.
The original mutant, En-Sabah Nur, literally meaning the first one, believes in natural selection and takes it upon himself to destroy the weak in order to preserve the worthy. While he isn't the most recurring villain that the X-Men face, he is considered one of the most, if not the most, deadly. Apocalypse boasts one of the longest lists of superpowers in all of Marvel, and that list only gets longer as he can absorb powers from other mutants. He may have been beaten before, but his comic book reincarnation always means bad news for the X-Men. Number 4, Anti-Monitor. He may not be one of the most recognizable supervillains, but the Anti-Monitor may just have the highest body count in all of DC. At the beginning of all existence, the Anti-Monitor absorbed his entire universe and eventually discovered the multiverse by tearing a hole in matter itself. He is responsible for the Crisis on Infinite Earths, which led to the deaths of Supergirl and the Flash. In terms of actual superpowers, Anti-Monitor has the standard cosmic supervillain bundle, but he takes on the powers of each universe he absorbs.
You will all be consumed.
And just in case you weren't sure, that's a whole lot of universes. Number 3, Dormammu.
Spread into the night. Beast, multiply, for this world is ours.
Primarily a Doctor Strange villain, Dormammu has never actually been beaten by his magical foe. He has been tricked, imprisoned, and bargained with, but these are just minor setbacks for the Lord of Chaos.
Finally, I am free! The world will bow down before the dread Dormammu!
Born of magic and composed of pure energy, he is virtually unbeatable in the long run, with magical powers beyond that of a mere god. Dormammu actually rules his own reality, the Dark Dimension, but he still makes his presence felt throughout the multiverse.
All is now prepared, Master. The one is ours.
I hunger for new life energy to devour. Release me into your dimension.
Number 2, Darkseid.
I am Darkseid.
One of the Justice League's most feared foes, Darkseid rules over the fictional world of Apokolips. Compared to Nazi Germany by comic book creator Jack Kirby, Apokolips is populated with militant supervillain parademons, so it takes a supremely overpowered deity to rule over that planet. Like many of the villains on this list, Darkseid has more or less every superpower in his respective universe, but he also possesses Omega powers. Superman and Doomsday are the only beings in DC to have survived Darkseid's Omega beams, which are so powerful they can resurrect the dead, pass through matter, and erase all organisms from existence. Luckily for the Justice League, they can be outrun or occasionally dodged.
Come on, Barry, you're moving fast, so think fast.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Number 1, Galactus.
Behold, the devourer of worlds. Tremble at the might of Galactus.
Galactus remains one of the biggest mysteries in the Marvel Universe, as the upper extent of his power is unknown, as is his true form. Galactus usually takes the form of a giant man in armor, but he is more than just a big guy. A cross between alien and a god, he literally eats planets to survive, often sending the Silver Surfer to find worlds for him to devour.
My people called it Galactus, the devourer of worlds.
He is also the only known source of the power Cosmic, which grants the user limitless manipulation of all organisms in the universe. While we may never know Galactus' true power, the fact that he's literally limitless is good enough for us.
He consumes.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.
Who doesn't love the super terrifying yet awesome symbiote Venom? He can attach to anyone and instantly transform them. Well, sure they become evil, but they do get really cool abilities.
I know what it feels like. It feels good. The power.
There's a lot of these abilities that give Venom the upper hand over Spider-Man. Want to know what they are? Watch this video to find out. Before we get started, don't forget to make that subscribe button your symbiote. It attaches you to be part of the super awesome CBR notification squad and keeps you up to date with all the cool videos.
Come on, you hate Spider-Man. Both of us do.
The Venom symbiote can evolve. One of the coolest things that sets the Venom symbiote apart from our wall-crawling hero is the fact that it almost always changing and adapting to its environment. And most importantly, its host. That's why we're able to see so many versions of Venom. Over the years, Venom has seen numerous changes, and it's become more accustomed to fighting Spider-Man and various other heroes and villains. Does this mean its skills are adapting also? Well, yes. After merging with its host, the Venom symbiote has the ability to gain gain that person's unique powers and abilities, even their intellect. Theoretically, if Venom were to bond with all the heroes in the Marvel Universe, it could become pretty much an unstoppable monster that would cause havoc all over the world. Its knowledge of every one of its hosts' fighting styles and powers give it insider information that is invaluable in the heat of battle. Venom basically has the potential to be the greatest and coolest villain ever in the MCU. Luckily, Venom hasn't done that quite yet, but since it's initially bonded with Spider-Man, it grants anyone it bonds to afterwards his abilities, plus any additional alien abilities it carries around.
I really need to be with Aunt May. Sure, we'll see each other soon enough. Spider-Man.
Venom's power fluctuates based on how much its host hates Spidey. This is certainly one of the strangest powers of the Venom symbiote, but depending on who it's bonded with, Venom's power increases or decreases based on how much the host hates Spider-Man. Since Spider-Man's initial rejection of the symbiote, it has a festering resentment to the web-slinger, thus granting more powers and abilities to hosts that hate Spider-Man.
Hey, Parker.
Misery loves company, but it sounds like resentment does too. You see, when the symbiote bonded with Eddie Brock, it had a full range of powers and abilities that make Venom a worthy adversary to Spider-Man. That's because Brock has an intense hatred for Spider-Man due to some professional conflicts at the Daily Bugle.
When are you gonna give a guy a break? You want forgiveness?
And the symbiote sensed it and wanted to bond with him. It seems that Venom has an I hate Spidey sense that attracts it to people who hate the beloved webhead. However, when Mac Gargan bonded with the symbiote, its powers were significantly weakened, and Spider-Man suggested the reason was because Gargan didn't hate him as much as Eddie Brock did. Spider-Man was able to defeat this version of Venom swiftly, and it posed very little threat to him. Venom generates endless webbing. Depending on which Spider-Man canon you follow, this is a bit of a toss-up. In many incarnations of the Spider-Man story, he generates his webbing from his body, and this was a part of the powers he acquired when the radioactive spider bit him. In other versions, Peter Parker develops web shooters on his own via scientific experimentation, and on several occasions his web cartridges have run out, leaving him falling from the sky, rocketing toward the ground. Heck, even in the Sam Raimi films, he also runs out of the webbing when he begins to doubt his powers. Case in point, the web slinger sometimes runs out of web to sling. So sad. But guess who doesn't have to worry about running out of webbing? That's right, Venom never has to worry about this issue, as the symbiote suit can generate endless webbing for his host, letting that person fly carelessly through the city without worrying about how much webbing they have left.
Whoa! My suit has cruise control!
It's a gift that some iterations of Peter Parker wish to have. Unfortunately, if Venom uses too much of this endless webbing ability, it can cause the symbiote suit to weaken, leaving it vulnerable to attacks.
Peter Parker. No, wait. How about that guy from Aerosmith?
Venom can shapeshift. Almost all depictions of Venom have shown him having this power of shapeshifting. This power allows the symbiote costume to mimic all sorts of clothing, making its wearer endlessly stylish. Endless webbing and stylish clothing? Venom doesn't seem too bad, right? Well, except for Venom's undying resentment and turning people totally evil. Oh yeah, not only can the symbiote mimic clothing, it can also mimic certain statures and postures.
But not only does the suit bond, in time it replaces,
allowing its wearer to blend in seamlessly with whoever is nearby. This is another excellent power that Spider-Man lacks. It allows the symbiote's host to look fashionable if it wants, to blend in with the rest of society, or even transform into a completely different person. Imagine all the hours you'd save choosing an outfit or buying clothes. Spider-Man needs to discreetly take off his suit in order to blend in with society, whereas Venom can just transform. This is actually a power that Spider-Man enjoyed while he wore the symbiote suit himself. We wonder if he second guesses giving up the symbiote sometimes.
Can't, not yet. There's some things I have to take care of first.
get rid of it!
I need it!
This ability is invaluable, especially coupled with Spider-Man's inability to detect Venom. This means that Venom can blend in just about anywhere, and Spider-Man wouldn't suspect a thing.
Come on, Venom! That's the best you've got?
Invisibility, camouflage. To go along with the ability to mimic clothing and statures, the Venom symbiote is able to mimic its surrounding environment, thus making it invisible to the naked eye. But wait, does this mean Venom can be invisible too? That's exactly right. This is especially useful once you consider that Venom is impervious impervious to Spider-Man's spider sense, so any of Venom's users could surprise the wall crawler with a sneak attack at any moment from any place. Totally not good news for Peter Parker. Spider-Man is pretty much limited to his street clothing or his gaudy red and blue Spider-Man suit. Don't get us wrong, we do love the iconic suit, but it presents problems. If Spider-Man wanted to go camouflage himself, he'd actually have to go out and purchase some camouflaging materials or blend in with something like a Spider-Man mural, something that's highly unlikely to be around in more than one specific place. Or Pete would have to develop cool cloaking skills like Miles Morales, who is the new Spider-Man. This power gives Venom a huge amount of reign over Spider-Man. You simply can't underestimate the power of surprise when it comes to attacking an opponent, especially when you have so much awesomeness going for you.
If Venom's off the disabled list, then... so am I!
Venom can help its host regrow limbs. This following ability is one of the most ridiculous and impressive powers that the Venom symbiote has. Believe it or not, Venom actually has the power to regenerate the lost limbs of its host. The symbiote utilized this ability when it bonded to Flash Thompson, a war veteran who lost his legs in combat. This is something previous incarnations of Venom never have shown, as they all were able-bodied men. But why would something as evil as Venom help anyone out? The answer is actually pretty simple and actually pretty selfish. Once bonded with Thompson, the symbiote's instincts to protect its host kicked in and gave Thompson legs once again so he could fight against evildoers as the heroic Agent Venom. So Venom only helps out its host in order to help itself out. Sure, Thompson needs to take a ton of drugs to suppress the symbiote's urge to permanently bond with him, but it helps him walk once again. Spider-Man has never shown such an ability. While Venom and Spider-Man have accelerated healing abilities, Spider-Man has never once lost a limb and subsequently regrown it. This is a power that is unique to the symbiote and can come in handy for people who are yearning to have their lost limbs back again. Venom can morph its body into weapons. Ah, symbiotes. Marvelous creatures, aren't they? Learning about all the cool things Venom can do makes us wonder, what can't Venom do? One of the prevailing powers Venom has almost always had is its ability to transform its body into various weapons. This ability was popularized by Venom's offspring, Carnage, but the original symbiote certainly has this power as well.
Sorry, did you say Carnage? Is that like a family name or...?
The alien life form can transform its limbs into giant axes, knives, and various other weapons. This ability would certainly come in handy when battling different opponents across the universe. Having the power to turn your arm into an enormous axe is a skill that many people wish they could have. Luckily for the people bonded with the Venom symbiote, they can do just that. Unfortunately for our hero, Spider-Man is not shown to have this same capability.
Yikes! Whoa! Didn't know you could do that.
In fact, he sometimes runs out of his primary weapon, which is webbing. Get it together, Spidey. This ability gives Venom the edge in this category. We're really starting to think that Venom might just be a superior life form when compared to Spider-Man. How the heck does he even beat this unstoppable thing anyway? Oh yeah, fire and sound, right.
Because of course, we were you.
Genetic memory. As previously mentioned, one of the coolest things about the Venom symbiote is that it can remember the genetic information of all its previous hosts, thus also passing on that person's ability to the next host. For example, after the symbiote bonded with Spider-Man, every host afterward could crawl on walls and shoot webbing, which is why Venom has Spidey's abilities. After bonding with Eddie Brock, every host afterwards has access to his supreme strength, and maybe a little bit of Brock's bitterness too. This is why the people or things that wear the symbiote are immune to Peter Parker's spider sense. The Venom symbiote remembers how the spider sense works and negates its effects. Interestingly enough, the Venom symbiote isn't immune to Ben Reilly's spider sense, since his is different from Peter Parker's. It seems like the symbiote is taking its obsession with Peter Parker to the most extreme, but hey, rejection can be tough, right? However, if bonded with enough superheroes and villains, the Venom symbiote could become an unstoppable machine that harnesses the power of everyone it has ever come in contact with.
We're now part of a life force that has existed since the dawn of time. Imagine what you've turned down, Parker.
Luckily, the Venom symbiote's memory of these powers was partially erased, making it somewhat less powerful. If that hadn't happened though, who knows how insane Venom could have gotten.
Well, look who's out of the anemone.
Breathing underwater. One of the more ludicrous powers the Venom symbiote has exhibited is the ability to allow its user to breathe underwater. Sort of like a really evil sea creature or mermaid. Until then, we learn about all the cool attributes we hope to see in the Venom film, like his power to breathe underwater, which is shown when Spider-Man thought he could flee Venom by jumping into a river. Surprisingly, Venom jumped in right after him and explained that the symbiote could protect its host from drowning. Seriously, what can't Venom do? Since the symbiote wants to keep its host alive at all costs, it somehow found a way to keep Eddie Brock from drowning while underwater. While the comic doesn't specifically explain how it's able to do this, you just need to accept it as fact, okay? That's some great comic book logic for you right there. Spider-Man even questioned the ability and got no explanation for it. We know the struggle, Pete. This became a huge advantage for Venom when he was fighting Spider-Man underwater, since Peter Parker was unable to breathe underwater. Yeah, apparently breathing underwater isn't one of the abilities the radioactive spider granted him. Go figure.
We have massive infections, multiple GPI and FSI viruses.
It's coming in from remote nodes. They're going for the Colonel.
Venom can enter itself into the internet. Okay, this is possibly one of the most 90s storylines in comic books in recent memory, but on the plus side, the 90s are back in fashion. After the advent and subsequent rise of the internet, many comic books integrated the World Wide Web into their storylines, and this is perhaps one of the most bizarre examples of that. In the story of Carnage Unleashed, Carnage began entering itself into the internet to kill various peoples across the world. After hearing about this dangerous new activity, Venom decided that it must step in and put an end to its offspring's killing spree. So Venom then uploaded itself into the internet, and the two symbiotes did battle on the information superhighway. Sure, this story is incredibly bonkers and dated, but it's still an ability that Spider-Man doesn't have. He cannot upload himself onto the internet and fight his enemies digitally like Venom and Carnage can. As a human with flesh and blood, it's just not possible. Though many people question the plausibility of Venom and Carnage entering themselves into the internet to do battle, it is still something that happened, and it's still something Spider-Man can't do. Case closed.
Don't go! This party's just getting rolling!
Well, that's just a few of the many crazy things Venom can do that Spider-Man can't. Know of any we missed or have a favorite one? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR to be part of our notification squad. Thanks for watching.
It's hard to think of Venom without thinking of Carnage, and vice versa. The two are linked, quite literally thanks to the alien symbiote that gave both of them their villainous powers. You might think their similarities end there, but you'd be wrong.
You may be our spawn, but that won't keep us from destroying you.
Venom and Carnage have more in common than Spider-Man and symbiotes, and we're here to break it down for you. Before we get to hunting for Easter eggs, take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Once you do, you'll never have to again.
Together again.
Both are Spider-Man villains. Every superhero must have a foe, and if you're a popular character, you have to have a few bad guys in rotation. How can you be a superhero if you have nothing to fight for or against? A foil is what makes them rise to the occasion, overcome their fears, and swing into the history books as great. A nemesis forces a superhero to have a focus and constantly be on the guard. An attack could strike at any time and any place. One must be ready, right?
Didn't know you could do that.
If you're Spider-Man, your spider sense must be going off all the time. But not for these two major foils in Peter's world. You know, because he can't sense them. Venom and Carnage are both major villains in the Spider-Man universe. They're both major foes in the comic books and will be in the cinematic universe as well, once the new franchise gets slinging. Both archenemies have battled Spider-Man for a very long time. Sometimes Peter Parker has a tough time going up against just one of them. Other times in the comic books, Spider-Man must go up against both at the same time. Venom and Carnage, though both vying to take down the web-slinger, are not actively working together to defeat Spider-Man. We don't think these two play well with others. Do you? Boom. Encounters with Deadpool. Does it sometimes feel like everything in the Marvel Universe is connected through Wade Wilson? Instead of playing 6 Degrees of Separation with Kevin Bacon, play the Marvel version with Deadpool. It's almost like it can't be considered official until you've had some encounter with Wilson. Oh, hello. Venom and Carnage are both linked to the Merc with a Mouth, but in different ways in the comic books. Venom and Deadpool have a long history with one another. It turns out that Wade Wilson has bonded with the Venom symbiote on more than one occasion. In the first run of Secret Wars, over 20 years ago, Deadpool and Venom merged. The latest incarnation of the two characters imagined their merging in a series called Back in Black. In addition, there was a What If series that imagined a reality where Wilson permanently bonded with the Venom symbiote. Can you imagine how everything could have been different if Marvel had decided to keep it that way? say, Deadpool has also come in contact with Carnage for a period of time in a complicated storyline that involves a lot of trickery. Let's just say, Deadpool and Carnage didn't walk away on good terms. Carnage vowed revenge against Deadpool, so we'll have to wait to see how he gets it.
Between the two of us, Dad, there won't be enough left of Spider-Man.
Created by symbiotes. While Spider-Man got his powers through the bite of a radioactive spider, his two most famous super foes got their powers in very different ways. Technically, Spider-Man helped form both Carnage and Venom when he first discovered the symbiotic suit on the alien planet. If not for his original suit being destroyed, triggering Parker's search for a new one, then neither Venom nor Carnage would have come into existence. Peter discovered the black and white Venom suit. When he put it on, he found that it gave him new special abilities. Parker developed regenerative powers and suddenly had unlimited webbing fluid. However, this was no suit. Well, not like the original red and blue suit anyway. The suit was an alien life form. When Spider-Man rid himself of the symbiote, it found journalist Eddie Brock. It attached itself to Brock and helped bring out some of his worst qualities, which the symbiote loves to do. Brock became incarcerated where he met Cletus. The symbiote Venom life form left behind a piece of itself in the jail cell when Brock left. That little piece then infected the bloodstream of Cletus Cassidy to become Carnage. Carnage's symbiote was different than Venom, turning him red instead of black. In addition, Cassidy's blood is infected with the organism, unlike Brock, who wears the suit.
Brock's rage and vengefulness made us a perfect breeding ground.
Both have human counterparts. Venom and Carnage are symbiotic supervillains who will stop at nothing to take down Spider-Man and rain chaos. Did you know that both characters have human counterparts with unique backstories? Venom's most famous host is Eddie Brock. Carnage comes from Cletus Cassidy, one of the worst human beings in all the Spider-Man universe. Without a doubt, Carnage is a monster who has earned the name Carnage. Even before he was a supervillain chasing after Spider-Man, Cassidy was a psychopath. Cletus Cassidy is known for going on murderous rampages throughout the city. Even as a regular human, he's a handful for the authorities and should be avoided at all costs. He did awful things to his family members and eventually became orphaned. Venom's counterpart, Eddie Brock, is less of a danger to society than Carnage, but he's still one pretty bad dude. A journalist, Brock developed cancer. An issue with one of his articles led to him being fired from the Daily Globe.
There's not a paper in town that will hire me. You should have thought of that earlier.
His wife Anne left him. He started working out relentlessly to try and ease his mind, but it didn't work. He became obsessed and blamed all of his troubles on Spider-Man. Once he became Venom, he took his obsession and rage to a new level.
And now, here's a brand new sound for you and your partner in slime.
They became superheroes. We're always talking about what a crazy killer Carnage is and what destruction Venom brings down on New York City. Those things are absolutely true and should not be forgotten. These are very bad characters, and we're thankful Peter Parker's there to stop them. However, not everything that is bad stays bad, or at least in the Marvel comic book universe. Sometimes a villain gets a small reprieve from being bad and gets to be good, even if they're only good for a short while. In the case of Venom and Carnage, both have had the opportunity to be good guys. Bet you didn't see that one coming. For Carnage, his turn to good was a result of a spell cast by Dr. Doom and the Scarlet Witch. The spell changed the moralities of characters and made Carnage want to do good. He returned to New York City and immediately started saving people as a part of his change. Could you imagine that big red guy coming at you only to find out he wants to help? Venom became a superhero in the Venom Space Knight series. He bonded with Flash Thompson. That amalgamation changed his personality and he started doing good deeds. He even went on adventures with the Guardians of the Galaxy to help save people.
The suit. You gotta take it off.
Oh, you'd like that, wouldn't you?
Both are getting a movie. Supervillains have all sorts of origin stories. Sometimes the character's been wronged and needs to seek retribution, or the villain is jealous of the superhero and wants to take them down. No matter the cost, the villain will plan and plot to crush them. In the case of Venom and Carnage, neither of them are on the side of good. They are, however, inextricably linked to one another. If not for Venom, there would be no Carnage. It's hard to think of one without thinking of the other. When it comes to Venom and Carnage, their stories are so compelling and plotlines so interesting that they're going to be getting time on the big screen. Both are very popular with fans, and we're excited with the announcement. Tom Hardy has signed on to play Eddie Brock, the human host of Venom.
My name is Max.
The character of Cletus Cassidy, who the Carnage symbiote attaches to, has yet to be cast. We can only imagine who they'll get to play Carnage. Who do you think it'll be? We also hope that Spider-Man will make an appearance too. The film is set to be released in 2018. We can't wait to see what happens between now and then.
Peter Parker. No, wait. How about that guy from Aerosmith?
Multiple hosts. When talking about Venom and Carnage, it can be easy to forget that there are humans attached to the alien lifeform. An alien lifeform triggered the creation of Venom. It has its own personality, abilities, and desires that are separate from the hosts it infects. It can be easy to forget that Venom and Carnage can merge with other hosts. While we've talked a lot about Eddie Brock in this video because he was the first host of Venom after Spider-Man, he wasn't the only host. Venom has merged with several individuals over the course of its lifetime, bringing out the innate qualities and abilities of each one. This makes each iteration of Venom unique. Two of the most well-known hosts besides Eddie in the comic books are McDonald Mac Gargan and Eugene Flash Thompson.
I know. Peter Parker and Flash all friendly?
Let's not forget, technically Peter Parker was a host too. For Carnage, hosts work a little different. Carnage infects the bloodstream, so it can stay with you forever. In the Marvel Universe, both the Silver Surfer and Ben Reilly have been Carnage. Perhaps the most famous host was Dr. Octopus. That'd be one scary sight, to have 8 legs and the powers of Carnage? We would totally wait for Spider-Man to deal with this one.
Sure, we'll see each other soon enough. Spider-Man.
Similar superpowers. As Uncle Ben Parker would say,
with great power comes great responsibility.
With great power also comes amazing abilities.
I'll figure it out.
Thanks to the alien lifeform that enhanced also comes amazing abilities.
Comes great responsibility.
With great power, Parker would say,
with great power comes great responsibility.
With Great power also comes amazing abilities.
I'll figure it out.
Thanks to the alien lifeform that enhanced both of their lives, the Venom suit and Carnage have given their hosts superpowers. One of the most powerful abilities both of these characters have, which makes them difficult to fight for Spider-Man, is they're immune to the Spidey sense. Because the Venom symbiote joined with Peter Parker before being with Brock and spawning off to Carnage, Parker's alert doesn't trigger. That is a very valuable power that both use to their advantage whenever they can. Both have regenerative qualities. When Eddie Brock was Venom, he had been suffering from cancer before he bonded with the suit. The symbiote rolled back the effects of the terminal disease and healed Brock. The catch was, of course, once Brock was no longer Venom, the cancer would come back. Carnage has accelerated healing, which is more powerful than Venom's abilities. Carnage can regenerate broken bones and tissues, as well as heal basic injuries. In addition, both share a variety of abilities that make them formidable opponents. They both possess increased stamina and strength. They also have access to web abilities like Spider-Man.
Together now!
Similar weaknesses. Spider-Man regularly fights powerful opponents like the Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, or the Hobgoblin. However, Venom and Carnage are different than his regular foes. These two came from an alien symbiote, not some technologically developed armor or special serum. In the hierarchy of power, Carnage is a more powerful entity than Venom. This also means that Venom and Carnage have similar weaknesses. Even though they're different and affect their hosts in different ways, they still come from the same originating source. The major vulnerability these two share is to sound. When Spider-Man was originally wearing the Venom suit and discovered it was an alien symbiote, he wanted to get it off. He had difficulty finding a way to extricate himself from Venom.
But not only does the suit bond, in time it replaces.
He eventually used the loud sound of church bells ringing to rid himself of the suit. Intense sounds and sonic waves are a Spider-Man's best friend. It is the cast that with each new spawn, their resistance to sound increases. However, no symbiote has been found to be immune, and this weapon continues to be used against them. Another major weakness Venom and Carnage have is heat. One good blast with elevated temperatures can cause some serious damage. Does that mean Peter should only fight these guys near the equator?
Star! Cool! Slimy!
Fought other superheroes. Venom and Carnage have been in the Marvel comic book universe for a long time. While they will be making the cinematic universe debut next year, we're also wondering if they'll also be incorporated into more than just the Spider-Man universe. What do you think? In the comic books, Carnage and Venom are not strictly resigned to being Peter Parker's opponents. We would be remiss to mention that they're often depicted as battling one another. However, they have gone up against other superheroes in the universe as well. This makes for interesting dynamics and combinations. We're hoping the writers in the MCU think about this when bringing them to the big screen as well. Maybe an Infinity Wars cameo? As we said earlier in the video, Carnage has gone up against Dr. Doom and the Scarlet Witch. One of the biggest powers Carnage ever came across was Sentry, who actually ended up ripping Carnage in half. Venom has even come in contact with Ghost Rider. Fun fact, Venom is immune to the Rider's penance stare.
Look into my eyes.
Could you imagine what that staring contest would look like? It could go on forever. There's also an alternative storyline about Venom and the Punisher.
Stop! Spider-Man is ours, and ours alone!
Who knew Carnage and Venom had so much in common? Maybe they should consider a joint birthday party next time. What's your favorite thing they share? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like to show your love, and subscribe if you haven't already to catch even more entertaining videos from CBR's playlist. Thanks for watching!
Biatch.
Like this desert rain frog.
Jackass.
Squeaking viral sensation.
Take a fucking picture, bitch. Fucker. Fuck that. Asshole. Bull.
Death comes. Like this desert rain frog. Death. Squeaking viral sensation.
If you split 300 pounds of rice with 30 people in Africa, what does each have? 8. Oh, come on, y'all look!
She has autism.
Her ears are really sensitive, so some sounds are just too much for her.
Huh.
China. The earth needs to be cleansed.
Get the fuck out of the room and play Minecraft!
Little do they know. They know. No. I'm training them for the greatest heist of all.
They are plugged in, as you can see right here, to this device. So fuck you.
Now who's this scrawny puke?
I'm 1.5 feet taller than you, but whatever.
What was that?
I said I can't hear you from down there.
Speak up, boy! I can't hear you from up there!
Disrespect your surroundings!
Fuck you.
I will now perform my people's native dance.
Tiana, guess it was hard for you.
How to spoon, dick hard on the butt, titty in my hand, kiss your neck. Hell yeah!
Look at Randy Orton slithering.
Watch out, watch out, watch out! Oh my God!
If there's a man, you open that door for him. If there's a woman, she best open her own fucking doors. There's no way you can be polite and open the doors.
I'm white. I'm black. I'm yellow.
I'm homosexual!
There are 3 genders, 4 genders, even 5.
Oh my god, it's been a whole day and her brain tumor hasn't melted away.
Is math related to science? They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
This is Diamond Sword to Major Steve. You're gonna find Diamond.
We as a development team are going to be watching, so if for whatever magical reason you are able to do something useful as Roadhog, we're going to fix it right away.
Before, kid. Oh my God, man, we are seeing some shit we ain't never seen before. What is that?
Come on. Come on, baby, I just want out.
Where's the lambs?
Come on, man.
Where's the lambs? Look at all the yummy cigarettes.
So we need some music for make this holiday
Very special. Yes?
What would you do if there was a child right in front of you?
I have a bunch of hard drives. You can see they're bad. They have bad stuff on them that I want to destroy. My nudes.
Hello. You get nothing.
NANI?! お前はもう死んでいる。お前はもう死んでいる。
So the actual way you do it is like this.
If you come to New York City and you try to blow anything up, I'm coming for you. Y'all ISIS niggas, fuck y'all ISIS niggas. We from New York. I'm from Brooklyn.
Listen, Noct. I have got this insatiable urge to fuck the Chocobo. Can we go? Like right now?
This is me when I'm in the shower thinking about life.
I'm gay, I'm really gay, I'm super duper gay. I'm gayer than a rainbow. Then this, and this, then that, and this, and that, and this, and that.
And there you have it. Watch for Rolling Rocks done in 0.5 A-presses.
Can I into Nordic?
No! Shut the fuck up, you little piece of shit. You will never be Nordic, you little shit. Now stop wasting my fuck.
Come here, my pet Russian. I have a drink for you.
That girl is so cute. I wonder what she's listening to. And the only thing I can do is to drink my own pee.
No! God, please, no! No!
Я жив.
4 o'clock, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, we're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
And without getting a drop of paint on anything but the...
What's that? Now, this piece is just great.
Do you ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head? Go!
Nope.
I said the real Raven.
Hey! Vsauce. Michael here.
Hey, what do you want for your birthday, Brian?
An electronic rabbit.
Brian, my brother is waiting for me to come on his back. For 3 hours I'm at it, riddle diddle diddle fiddle.